What's going on, everybody? Today we're talking about Black Panther Wakanda Forever. All right, now you guys see a little bit more of the dorm room. You know what I'm saying? As I'm uploading more, you're gonna see more and more of this dorm room. More and more I've been, tricking it out and stuff like that. I had it at another angle. My microphone is right here, so you can get to see the cool angle. You know what I'm saying? But stay on this channel, subscribe if you're new, because you're gonna see more of this. So this movie has gotten a lot of mixed reviews, okay? People saying that it's good, people saying that it's mid, people saying that it's all right. Me personally, before we get into this, I need to talk about black people. Alright, black people during this movie. This movie, is made for us. This movie is made for us. You know what I'm saying? This movie is made for us. It's made for black people. This movie is made for black people. And there is no reason why we should be showing up late to this movie. I saw this movie in IMAX in a pretty predominantly white neighborhood, right? All the white people were here on time. And if anybody's seen the movie yet, the beginning of the movie is like the saddest part. The first 15 minutes is really sad, bro. And people coming in late. And it was only black people too. People around me were all white and they were here on time. It was only the black people, bro. Like, it was making us look bad. People, it was making me feel like, yo, I felt embarrassed for us, bro. Because why are we showing up late to our own movie? We could show up late to any other Marvel movie. Show up late to Ant-Man. Don't show up late to Black Panther. Like, I understand black people's time. Like, maybe I should have expected this because of black people's time. They coming late to their own movie. I don't know, but the black people was getting up. They were going to the bathroom. Like, they was getting more popcorn mid-movie. And I saw an IMAX. So when you look down, you could literally see everybody. And if somebody stands up, they're covering most of the screen. As soon as the person would stand up, they would cover like a portion of the screen. And I would look at them. They were always black. Why? Bro, I was like disappointed in us, bro. When I saw all the black people trickling in late, I was disappointed in us. I'm like, what are we doing? I was embarrassed for us, bro. Now, on to how I generally think about this movie. Despite everything that happened with people getting up and whatever, you know what I'm saying? Now on to how I really feel about this movie. I know director Ryan Coogler already had an idea. He already had a script written with Chadwick Boseman in it before he passed away. And the fact that he rewrote it and still made it an amazing story, that stands out to me the most. And a lot of people, like, their gripes about the film is more about like the plot. They feel like the plot, there was too many side characters, the runtime was too long, like it didn't like delve fully into the extra side characters that they even brought on. But I think for me, what I really loved about the story, and I feel like what worked for the story, was that it was very character driven. Any story where the characters, drive the story more than the plot, I'm gonna like that more. I feel like that's the reason why I love Until Dawn. It's driven by the characters, and I love Life is Strange. It's driven heavily by the characters. Anything that delves deep into the characters and how they feel, how they think, how they react to things, that focuses predominantly on the characters, I will like it. I will give it a 10 out of 10. I was heavily invested because I feel like personally, once you get heavily invested into the characters, that is what makes you feel for them. That's what makes you feel for the story. And that's what makes you want to sit there and watch a 3-4 hour movie because you love the character. And here you feel that, especially with the introduction of Ironheart. I love Ironheart. People were saying that if you took her out the movie in its entirety, the movie would still be pretty much the same and just get a new scientist. But I loved her character. And because I loved her character and how, she's from Boston. I don't think she's from Boston. But they went to Boston to go find her. They went to MIT. Marvel seems to love MIT for some reason. Because, we got to learn more about her character. I felt more invested in the story overall. And if we can even talk about Shuri as a character, you feel how Shuri comes into her own more in this movie. Like, she has to step up to the plate with, the loss of her brother. And then, even the loss of her mom. She's dealing with a lot of grief. And now she has to lead a people. And when she's dealing with grief and she's still young, and, it's very clear that, she is making mistakes. Like, she becomes vengeful after a while. And I feel like just her character arc throughout the whole story was what carried the movie. Shuri, like, her character impressed me. It impressed me how much she stepped up to the plate, how much, she gave an emotional performance, how you really felt bad for her. You felt like, you was feeling with her. Like, you felt like you was going through it with her because you have so much connection to her as a character. And this movie does a perfect job of setting that up. So Shuri's character arc, amazing. Okoye, she has her own character arc in this movie. Even Okoye's character arc, you love her character, you feel for her character, you see what she goes through when she ends up getting kicked out of the Dora Milaje and she just becomes a random civilian. You know what I'm saying? You feel for her character, which makes you love the story more, which made me love the story more, which is why I really love this movie. The same kind of reasoning that I use for why I love Okoye's character, why I love Shuri's arc, is what I love about this villain as well. The villain Namor is just fantastic in this movie. I think they do a really good job of showing his background. They make you see where he's coming from mentally. And you can see that with pretty much any character in this movie. And I feel like that's why these characters stand out to people. This is why you feel very emotional when things are happening. During fight scenes, during action scenes. When Namor end up attacking Wakanda, you feel bad. You feel bad for the people of Wakanda, but you also side with him a little bit. It's a little bit of that Last of Us 2 Abby situation. You understand where he's coming from, but you also don't want them to do it because you love the people of Wakanda. You know, and I feel like those kind of stories that make you feel where the villain is coming from. Like the movie Joker. You can see where Joker's coming from. Here, you can see where Namor is coming from. You can see where Wakanda and what Shuri are coming from. And Shuri's mom is coming from. Ryan Coogler does a great job of showing where these characters are coming from, what their motives are, makes them very clear, makes you feel emotionally attached to them. So that when anything happens in the plot, you feel for each character. Even though they might have different wants and needs, you still feel for the character and you want them to be happy. That's why at the end, when Shuri and Namor are fighting, you're glad you get to see them fighting, but then again, you want Shuri to show Namor mercy. Why is that when he's the villain? It's because they make you feel for him. Marvel movies don't do that with their villains. They don't do that, bro. So that's why this movie stands out for me. When people are like, oh, the plot was like, the standard third, it was okay. I liked it a lot because I feel like it was character driven. And that's what we need to see. And that's what I want. I care about these characters the most. I feel like what made me feel for Namor as a character and, the Talcons or Atlantis as a whole is really Namor's backstory with his mom. I feel like talking about the colonization of, I think it was either the Aztec or the Mayans they're talking about. And I feel like they went really in depth about the culture, which made you feel connected to him. And then you also see what happened with his mom. How, his mom had him as a baby. He became king because of that. And then when he had to bury his mom, he went back up to the surface. He saw the colonizers. I think it was the conquistadors, he said. He was seeing people getting whipped. He was seeing slaves. He was seeing just despicable humankind, which made him just hate humans. And literally, he just set the whole place ablaze. He set it on fire. And, pretty much he was like, all right, we're never interacting with the surface world. And it made him kind of have that hate, for humans. Seeing that, I feel like in a Marvel movie was very impactful. And I'm really glad they put that in there. I feel like they put a lot of like Mexican, like Mayan culture in there, which I thought that was beautiful to see. Because I feel like Wakanda as a place kind of represents what would like a country in Africa be like if there was no colonization, if there was no slave trade. And I feel like, that's kind of the core of what Wakanda is. And I feel like Atlantis, they kind of gave Atlantis that same feel. They gave Atlantis that same kind of what would, the Mayans be if they were never colonized, if they never got smallpox, if they never got diseases, where would they be today with their technology? And I feel like Atlantis or Talcania, I can't remember what it was. I just called it Atlantis. Even when I was watching the movie, I still thought Atlantis because of the comics. I feel like it really shows where they would be without that colonization. And I feel like those parallels between Wakanda, what Wakanda is and what Atlantis is, and how they're very much the same, and how they're interlocked, and how they should be working together. That's like the major theme of this movie. And I really loved how that came together. I thought that the characters were amazing. I loved Ironheart. I loved Okoye. I loved Shuri. All right, I love the mid-credit scene. Oh my gosh, that mid-credit scene would just healed my soul. It healed my soul when I saw that baby T'Challa pull up. We need to talk about that beginning scene where the Talcons first appear. When they first appear in this film, they are terrifying, bro. My girl, I was watching it with her. She was right next to me. This girl was scared, bro. She was like, what? Because I know she gets scared pretty easily, you know what I'm saying? But no, the Talcons were terrifying, bro. When they just appeared out the water, like, it was like very eerie, very scary, made them look threatening. Like, that's what you love to see. That's what you love to see, bro. And I could have watched that movie for 3.5 hours, bro. That movie was that good. And now I know it seems like I got nothing bad to say about this movie. Pretty much because I don't. One thing I do not like about this movie, bro, is the shallow depth of field, bro. Ooh, what's going on with sirens outside? People good? Yeah, the one thing that I wasn't a fan of in this movie, though, is the shallow depth of field, bro. And that's pretty much when, like, the background is, like, extremely blurry. Like, I don't know if that's because I just saw an IMAX, but, like, when I watched it, I just feel like, Euphoria does that a lot. When they try to be, like, cinematic and, like, try to have, like, the background blurry, but even sometimes, like, the characters in the background become blurry. Like, even the main character itself, the person who's in the frame, looks blurry a little bit. And I hate that, bro. I'm sorry, but I hate that in movies. Like, I don't know. I just feel like it's doing too much. Like, I get it. You want it to be like cinematic, bro, but like, I can't see the screen. Is it cinematic if it's blurry? If I can't see it? That's why I'm wearing glasses. That's not blurry. I don't want no shallow depth of field. And I feel like the movie just used it too much. Like, I get it. Like, you want to be cinematic. Like, you want to do this, that, and the third. It's just too much. Like, I just not a fan. Me personally, I'm just not a fan of super shallow depth of field. Like, I get it to a certain extent. To a certain extent, I like it. But I just feel like they did it too much. Like, it was just too much. And then again, I don't know if it's because I saw it in IMAX, but I don't know. I wasn't feeling it. I feel like you're going to like this movie if you like character-driven stories. I like character-driven stories because I feel like once you write good characters and, the story kind of writes itself. And I feel like that's kind of what happened in this movie. And I thought everything felt natural. It felt beautiful. It was a good story of grief, but it was a story of how does Wakanda survive without their leader? And I feel like they tackled it really well. It's a great conclusion to Phase 4, and a great Marvel movie that didn't feel like the Marvel MCU cheese at the end where they just have a CGI fight scene. Like, this fight scene at the end was impactful. It made me feel things. Like, it was a great movie. Is it better than the first Black Panther? No, it's not. Nothing's ever gonna beat, the first Black Panther. And I went into that with that mindset that I know it can't beat it because, Chadwick Boseman is no longer with us. But for what this movie had, the script rewrite, the limitations that they had, I felt like this movie is one of the best out of Phase 4. Is it better than Spider-Man No Way Home? When I think of Phase 4, do I think I put Spider-Man No Way Home as number 1? And I've been questioning if this beats Spider-Man No Way Home. I just don't think so right now because of the nostalgia. The nostalgia kind of has me in a chokehold. But when it comes to good story, this is number 2. It's right under Spider-Man No Way Home for Phase 4. It's a good conclusion for Phase 4. And I love this movie. I want to see it again. I'll be watching this movie multiple times. If you haven't seen it, go see it. If you've seen it, go see it again. It is that good. Let me know what you guys think about this movie down in the comments below. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed. And more reviews coming on the way. I do movie reviews about movies I feel passionately about. And if you want more, let me know more of what you want me to review. And with that said, I'll see each and every one of y'all in the next one. Peace.